What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we'll be hunting a $100 box of nickels that we picked up from one of our local Fifth Third banks. It's actually inside of a Kroger just up the street from my house. I'm excited to get into these. These are actually from Brinks. These are slightly different than the rolls we hunted last time. Last ones were Loomis, and they were fantastic. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to try to link it up here in the top right corner if I remember. It was a great box of nickels. We found a little bit of everything. And honestly, I think we had a variety that will end up being probably a $50 or $60 nickel. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. We're going to be hunting these nickels for the same type of stuff. Silver, anything from 38 to 59, buffalo nickels, V nickels, you name it. We're going to hope to find it in a bank box. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So this video will be part of our Hunt and Fill series where we are trying to fill out this Jefferson Nickel Whitman album from 1938. It says to 2003, but I've put the extra pages in it to get us to 2023. And I'm only missing a handful of nickels. And to make this easier without having to go through the whole book, I've got a list, and you'll see we've got a couple crossed off from our last hunt. We finally found that 1942 S War nickel. We still have a few more in here that are 35% silver to find, but we also found a really nice 1949 S semi-key date. So the rest of these are definitely on our hunt list. We're going to hope to find those. We're also going to be looking for lots of mint airs and varieties, and I've got my newly bound, spiral bound Strike It Rich with pocket change book that I had done at the UPS store, which we talked about in the last video as well. So with that, it's enough yapping. Let's go ahead and open a couple of rolls of nickels. I'll go through them really quickly to see if we have any oldies or any buffaloes or foreigns or anything like that. And of course, I will be going back through them and looking at the face and the reverse of every single nickel, because we do error hunt, mint error hunt on this channel, because we want to find the old coins that are worth, can be worth a lot of money. Let's see here. We got a couple of oldies, 62, 63. There's a triple die obverse on that 63, or at least it's a possibility. That's just an old looking 71 and a really nice looking 62. We will also, as we go through these nickels, pull anything super blingy, super nice, because we are always looking for upgrades for that album. Again, on the last hunt, we had like 2 or 3 book fillers and probably a dozen or so book upgrades. So we always want to look for the blingy stuff. That doesn't look too old. And there may be some things that I'm missing because I am going through these really quickly. Although, here we go, a 1940, our first find of the hunt. It is a 1940 Philadelphia. And as I said, I do error hunt. I will check all of these coins against my books, like the Strike It Rich book. And if there is a DDO, DDR, repunch mint mark, anything like that, I'll be sure to bring you in and we'll talk all about it, because there are some new coin roll hunters out there every day that catch these videos. So I'm going to do one more roll on camera, and then what I'll do is go off camera and continue to look and bring you in as I find stuff. In the last video, I actually had to cut a lot of stuff out because the video was getting to be too long. It's a 61. What is that? That's a 64. I got a lot of 64s to look at. That has a repunched mint mark. All right, well, nothing else in those first 3 rolls, just this lonely 1940. And as I said, I'll keep you posted as we get through the box. Well, I'm cleaning up those first 3 rolls. Still no early finds. I didn't miss anything there, but I think I have one of the new 2023 Philadelphia nickel double dies. Now, I was up on Brian's Variety Coins, and apparently there's about 127 different double dies on this particular nickel. I will, before the end of this video, look and see if I can identify which one it is and what the value is, but it's easiest to see here in the I, the T, and the C. Typically, when I see stuff like this, my first response is that it is machine doubling. According to Brian's Variety Coins, this looks like it's more called a class 7 or 8 tilted hub doubling is what this really is. But you can see we've got double serifs here, which leads me to believe this is more This isn't like a typical machine doubling, and we've got a double I here, a double, the top of the T is doubled there. And in machine doubling, typically all of your doubling is in the same direction. So that's why I think this is a little bit different. These are the three main characteristics that I've seen. I looked over the rest of the coin and not too much jumped out at me. Maybe a little bit here on the L. And I need to compare this to some other nickels, but I feel like we have some doubling down here on the bottom of these windows, but possibly not. So definitely going to put this on the board as a find, and like I said, we'll learn more about this one before the end of the video. So really quickly, wanted to bring you back in. Here's another 2023 that I've put under the scope just to check the bottom of the windows to see what they look like, and this gives me more evidence to believe that I do in fact have doubling in those windows as expected. And you can see here, now granted there's a good bit of damage on this coin, but you can see how the lettering is more succinct. There's not any doubling there like we saw on the first one. And the first one I showed you was right here. And believe it or not, the actual next 2023 Philly that I found, not in as nice a shape, but it too has that same doubling on the bottom of the windowsills. And we can see that doubling at the top of the T and a little bit there on the C. It's not quite as extreme as the other one, but we're going to put this on the board as a find as well. We're into roll number 4, about a third of the way into the roll there. We've got our next find. It is a 1959. Looks like we have a Denver. So we're all the way up here on roll number 12, about halfway through. We've got our next find. This actually came up reverse facing, but it was old enough that I figured it would be something like this. It's a pretty ratty looking 1941 Philadelphia. We'll put it up here next to our 1940. And I have found two other 1959s. I think both of these were Denvers along the way, but just didn't bring you in because we'd already found a 59. And I did find one more 2023 Philly with that double die reverse in the exact same place. So we're going to keep on hunting. Hopefully we find some more stuff before too long. We're in roll number 17. We've got our next find. It is a 1955. Now, we found the 1955 Philly semi-key date in our last hunt. Let's see what we come across this time. We've got the Denver in this one, and I believe there's a couple, I'm looking at my book over here, there's a couple of over mint marks, D over S, and D, oh yeah, there's just two D over S's. Let's check it out, see if we have anything interesting. I'm going to go with no, so just a regular 1955 Denver. So we're into roll number 20, and we've come across towards the end of the roll something we don't find a lot of. This was a very limited mintage, but we've got a 2009 Philly. We'll check it against our book because, as I said, I don't find a bunch of them, but based on the condition of this, I doubt it's an upgrade. But if you are hunting nickels, you should pull all these just due to the fact that they are so low mintage, and they're actually pretty hard to find. I want to say, for me, I find one maybe every 5 or 6 or 7 boxes. So pretty cool. I'll put it up here on the board. Getting into roll number 24, and we got our next find, and it's an oldie. We got our first 30s Jefferson nickel. We have the 1939. Now, as a reminder, I do need the D and the S, so let's check it out. And we have another Philly. Now, we always want to look for that DDR on this guy, and just looking at it under the regular camera, I didn't see it. The doubling has to be really, really severe, and this just looks really worn, so I'm going to say no doubling here. So we will put it up here next to our 40s and keep on hunting. Bringing in here on roll number 26, and we've got our next find. We were about 6 or 7 nickels in. We've got a really crispy looking 1954, and I've already looked at this coin under the scope, and that's the main reason we're going to spend a couple of minutes on it, or a minute on it here. We've got a San Francisco on the back, and I think this is a really, really good example of machine doubling or strike doubling versus a double die or a repunched mint mark. So let's take a look at this under the scope. And we're going to be pushed really in close here just so you guys can see it. But right here, we clearly have another kind of S underneath this thing. But you'll notice that it's flat and it is not the same height of the regular S. And we don't really have double seraphing going on. It looks like we just have an S that's been like ice cream on a hot day. It's just sliding down the coin there. And where you see this sharp drop off and then lowered lettering is usually pretty typical indication of strike doubling or machine doubling. And you can actually see it in a lot of the lettering in the word America. I mean, in the R, the I, the C. It looks more like letters that have been smeared rather than an actual double die. So that's my feeling on this one. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below, but I think this is a prime example of machine doubling. And I will be hanging on to it, so if we need to have further discussion about it in the comments, I'll have it and we can refer back to it. So I just got the paper off of roll 31, and I wanted to bring you in because I was talking about this in my last video and maybe even this one, that those silver war nickels you can often tell from the edges. Not always, but when you start seeing some odd colors in there, like this guy right here, this guy right here, you should get excited. They could just be dirty, they could just be worn, but I've already peeked, so I know. I just wanted you to see that edge. You've got yourself more than likely a war nickel, and that war nickel, you can tell, we got that mint mark above the Monticello building. It's a Philly. I'm just looking real quick. I don't think I need any war nickel Phillies for my album. Let's see what we got. We've got ourselves a 1943 Philly. Now, there's a couple of varieties on this guy. The one I know off the top of my head is the 43/2. So let's check that out. I actually have one of those. Unfortunately, this isn't one of them, but the 43/2 is really neat because you can see the ball of the 2, and you can actually see the line coming out of here that would be a 2 that goes this way and a little bit of a bar. So I do actually have one of those. This just isn't it. So pretty cool, 1943 Philly. We're into roll number 33, about a third of the way through, and we've come across another 1955. Again, we want that Philly semi-key date. And we unfortunately have another Denver, so that's 255s on the hunt. Where's the other one? There's the first one. That first one was actually in pretty good shape. Might be a book upgrade, maybe not. But that's 255Ds on the hunt. Roll number 35, quite a ways through the roll, and we've got our first foreign of the hunt. We've got Queen Elizabeth here, so we know we got something like Bermuda, Bahama, Canada, something like that. Let's see. 1994 Canadian, 5-cent piece. First foreign on the hunt. All right, all the way up here on roll number, I think that would be 36. Yeah, I think it is 36. We've got our next find. It's a 1951. We're very near the end here. We got anything else behind it? I don't think so. Well, the 1951 S is a semi-key date, so that'd be a really cool find. I don't think we need this for our book. No, the 50D is the latest we need for the book, so let's check it out. We got a 51D, so first 51 on the hunt. And I don't believe there's any repunch mint marks or anything like that, but I'll double check off camera. So we've got, what is that, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're on roll 41, 9 rolls left. And we've come across another fancy coin here. I shouldn't say fancy, really. It's 35% silver. It's a 1944, another war nickel, 2 on the box, which is a lot for me. Normally I just find 1. But we need the Denver and the San Francisco to fill my book. Let's check out, see what we got. Well, of course, we got a Philly. I'll take the 35% silver all day, but I really wish we could fill that hole in the book. So we're into roll number 44, about halfway through, and we got our next 50s era find. We've got a 1957 Denver. So we are nearing the end. As you can see, I've already started repacking my box. Roll number 47, and we've got another new find, I think. I don't think we found one of these yet. We had a 54, 51, and 44. We don't have one of these. 1948. Now, the 1948S is a semi-key date, super low mintage, so let's check this bad boy out. And we got the Philly. So we're done getting through the box. Roll 50 produced one little thing that I want to show you guys. It is a 1983 Denver. Now, the only reason I looked at this is I believe there is a die clash on the 83 Denver. It's actually on the 83 Philly. And so I mistakenly kind of pulled this in under the scope, and something struck me that made me look a little closer. So the first thing I saw was this little bar above the T, which on our 2023 Philly, we did have a raised bar here, and on the I, we had a double C. We had a lot of doubling on the E, so I thought maybe this could be some sort of DDR that's not in the Strike It Rich book or my own list, and I kept looking and found what I would normally call machine doubling. But the fact that you can kind of see multiple serifs got me thinking. So I got online, I looked through every resource I could find. I do have the digital copy, at least the old version of the the Cherry Picker's Guide. And there are no known 1983 Denver double die reverses. So I tend to believe that this is some sort of strike doubling or die deterioration. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments down below. But this one just got me because we do have some double serifs. And usually when you see that, like here in the T and in the E, normally when you see that, that's usually a pretty good giveaway of a double die obverse. But the thinning in the lettering tells me this is most likely die deterioration. Well, guys, that wraps up the hunt. We had another pretty darn good box of nickels when it comes to finds. I didn't add them all up. Let's just do it real quick. 5, 10, 11, 16, 17, 18, 19, 24, 25. We're going to just call it 30 finds in that box, which is pretty darn good. I've had far worse boxes of nickels in this neck of the woods. We'll go through them really quickly. I'm not going to call out the Philly and Denvers, but I will bring special attention to the couple of nickels that I think are a big deal in the hunt. Starting over here, we did find one Canadian nickel. No big deal. 1994. I probably should get a book. I've found enough Canadian nickels I could probably fill out half the book. But we had a 39. We had a couple of 40s, two 41s. Of course, for me, the stars of the show were this 43 Philly and the 44 Philly, both 35% silver war nickels, which means we're always going to hang on to them. Unfortunately, they were not book fillers or upgrades. Actually, this 44 might have been, but this little bit here on the front that's got some damage on it, that's going to keep it out of the book. But we had a couple of 48s. We had a 51, a really beat up 54, a 56. These are out of order, sorry. A couple of 55 Denvers. We weren't able to get a hold of the 55 Philly semi-key date, unfortunately. We did have a 57, a couple of 58s, and 5 1959s. And of course, one super low mintage 2009 Philly. Not a book upgrade. The one I have in the book is nicer than this, so we'll just leave that right up here. And I'll throw the mintage of that up on the screen. I just went over the 1983P. I left it up here only because it was an interesting looking coin, and I think a good view of what die deterioration looks like. And then, of course, I've got these backwards, but these were the 2023 Philly DDRs. Now, I'll put it back here up on the screen just to show you. This was probably the nicest one I found, but we've got some doubling down here. This extra little lip in the windows, or the window and the door, but really the telltale signs right here in the E. You can see we've got two E's there. Got a double serif on the C there, and it's not just a straight drop off and a smear like on that 1983P that we saw. Of course, we have that extra bar on the T as well. I wasn't able to go through and find the exact DDR, but I'll put an image or two up on the screen just to show you images from one of the websites that I was looking at that shows that this is a DDR. So we did end up with 4 of those. I'm not going to show you all 4 of them. But last but not least, I did pull a really nice 1966 Philly that will be a book upgrade. And I'll go ahead and do that off camera because it's just a book upgrade. And with that, we're done. It was a great hunt, lots of finds. Not as good as our last nickel hunt because we actually had some book fillers and a ton of upgrades, which was really nice. If you haven't seen that, I'll try to link it at the end of the video. And you guys need to make sure you go back and watch it because it was a fun hunt. With that, if you did enjoy this one, make sure you drop on down below, click that like button, and leave me a comment. And share this with your friends if they're into coin roll hunts. It's kind of funny how I get new people all the time that say they've been watching coin roll hunts for years and they just now discovered my channel. So if you have buddies that haven't found me, make sure you share this channel with them. I'd really appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this content, make sure you do click on that subscribe button and click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I do release a new video. I'd really appreciate it. Special shout out to all my channel members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel each and every month. I am going to be working on a penny hunt next, but it'll probably get released before this video since I just released a nickel video just the other day. So it may be a little while before you guys see this one. With that, I am picking up some $50 tomorrow as well, so there'll be a $50 video coming or possibly a live stream, so stay tuned. So with that, you guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.